All right, let's check the progress of our vegetables that are in the Excalibur dehydrator. These were the carrots. They are brittle. Let's see. The mixed veggies. The green beans were the thing I was worried the most about, but that is also brittle, so those are done. And the corn. Is done and sweet and crunchy. I will let these cool and then we will get them jarred up. Good morning. I have been up since about 4:30 this morning and I've been crocheting and knitting most of the morning. So now it is about 8:30. I'll need to come out when all these calendula get open and get them harvested. But for now, I am after these plums. We've been taking plums off of this tree for a couple weeks, giving them to neighbors, friends, taking them to functions, family reunions, and we still have a lot left. I think I want to pick a bunch of these today. I'm going to maybe try Plum Kvass. I've never done that before. And I also am going to try making a plum liqueur. Like I said, we are not drinkers, but it does make nice gifts. And I just like to try things that I've never done before. And that was one of the things that I found. These are starting to get some damage. Birds and the bees are really digging into them too. So we need to get these picked today. I'm trying to avoid just juicing them and canning juice because we still have juice on the shelf from last year. So I'm going to get these picked and then we will figure out what to do with them. Okay, so I got our bowl full, which I think will be enough to do kvass and the liqueur. There are still so many plums left. I'm definitely probably still going to end up having to juice a bunch or something. I just don't know. Maybe a syrup? I don't know, but they definitely need to get picked today. The bees are not very nice. I didn't get stung, and I'm not afraid of bees, but these are like taking chunks of the fruit out of the fruit. I don't know if there may be some kind of wasp. I don't know. But they were kind of aggressive, although they didn't sting me, so that's good. And I'm realizing that the vodka I have on hand isn't the greatest. I got kind of a bottom shelf because I was using it for extracts. So I think I'll wait a little bit until the liquor store is open and maybe go get a better quality vodka. I don't even know what that is. I'll have to ask them. Okay, I am in fresh from the garden. I just picked some plums. I am going to attempt a plum kvass. I've never made one before, but we have a lot of plums. I'm trying to avoid just juicing them because we still have juice from last year, so we aren't going through it. My idea when I juiced them all last year was that I could make jelly, maybe plum wine or some kind of beverage from them then, but I didn't do that. So I still have a lot of plums to pick. I'm going to do this kvass, and I'm going to try a plum schnapps, a liqueur. My folks gave me a magazine that had an article for making elderberry schnapps, and I wondered if I could do the same with, let's see, where are we at? 3 cups, okay. If I could do the same with plums. So I looked it up, and did not realize that apparently these are not freestone. So I was worried about that. I am just going to cut on either side of the pit. And try it that way. I don't know how long this will take to ferment. I'm guessing it's going to be a longer ferment because it just doesn't have the surface area that those little nooks and crannies of like the caneberries have. But I think it will work. Because I know people do lacto-fermented plum wine and things like that where they don't add a brewer's yeast. They just let the natural yeasts do their thing. So I know there is enough of it there. I might need to add sugar later on, just to give it more food. I don't know. I will see. The berry kvass I've been making for years, but I have never tried plum. So we'll see how that goes. I feel like I was mid-sentence and got off on a tangent, so I don't remember what I was going to say. But the elderberry schnapps, I looked that up to see if I could do that with plum, and apparently plum schnapps, a plum liqueur, is a thing, like really popular in Germany. Like I said, we don't drink, so I don't know. I would go ahead and get that started with you guys right now, but I think I'm going to wait until I go to the liquor store. The only vodka I have on hand is vodka that I use for tinctures and extracts, so it probably isn't good for people who like to drink it. So I'm going to wait for the liquor store to open and then go get something that they maybe recommend, a better quality. And I did see that you can do it with rum. So I don't know if I want to do vodka or rum or both and see what the people I give it to prefer. And then there's also the option of making it spiced or not. Since I'm giving it as Christmas gifts, I'm feeling like the spice might be nice. But I don't know. Like my husband doesn't like spice. I love spice. Neither of us will be the ones drinking this, so it doesn't actually matter what we like. But I feel like, especially that time of year, people like that mulled cider, those spicy flavors. So maybe I will do a rum and a vodka, and maybe an unspiced and a spiced. I feel like if I'm going to do spice, I'd want to do the rum. I think spiced rum is a thing that people like, I believe. So maybe I will do that, and then kind of keep the vodka as a cleaner, unspiced, just sweet option. I don't know. I would ask you guys what you think, but by the time, if I can figure out how to link these videos together, it will all be on video. So by the time you're watching this, I will be later making it in the same video probably. So I can't really ask for advice. Maybe I can ask for advice on social media and get some real-time answers. So I just rinsed these. Again, you want that natural yeast, those natural bacteria on there. So just a good rinse to get off any debris, but not a crazy scrub them up wash. Need a few more. I know this looks like I'm wasting a lot, and I might be able to do something else with them. These are not freestone. So I wanted a yellow plum, and I researched, and I found one called the Golden Egg that's more like the prune style that was yellow, freestone, and I wanted one really bad. Could not find them in my area. The closest nursery that said they sometimes had them in stock was 3 hours away. I got on a wait list 3 years ago for when they get them in stock, and I never have received an email. So either they never got them back in, or the wait list disappeared after a year or whatever. So I settled for this one, and these are wonderful for fresh eating. They taste really good. but they are not freestone, which means I don't really enjoy doing stuff with them. So I'm going to just stir up this sugar that has kind of settled to the bottom. I might put a couple more in there just for good measure. I usually do 2 cups of fruit, but since we want more of the skin in there, I might just go ahead and put in a few more. Plus, I have a lot of plums. Okay, that one just completely squished. I have an uncle whose favorite are these plums, and I was going to run some to him. He lives about 2.5 hours away, but I was just going to impromptu go and surprise him with some, but they are getting a little past their prime, so I would hate to do that and him be like, these aren't that good. So maybe next year I will get him a good supply if we are blessed with a crop like we had this year. Okay, I'm gonna get a lid on this and stop the video. When I come back, I will probably have already gone to the liquor store to see about getting some vodka and some rum to make some golden plum liqueur. Hello and welcome. This may be the middle part of a longer video. I did a little bit of research on editing this morning and found an app that I think will let me splice. If it does, this will be in the middle of other things. If it doesn't, this will hopefully act as a standalone video. But I wanted to show you the hot peppers from the dehydrator, the celery, the 2 full stalk heads, whatever, of celery. That's a pint jar. And our bell and gypsy peppers. So they really dehydrated down a lot. So now I've got the carrots that we put in here yesterday. And really for day 8 of the Every Bit Counts challenge today, it's going to be plums, but I thought I would try to get this done first. Because these are shreds, they're sticking in this mesh. Oh, I might need a bigger jar. Because I don't want them so packed, because if there's any moisture in there, then they will it'll trap that moisture in and it'll be more prone to molding. I don't think there's any moisture left in them. They are brittle. So I have 2 trays of the carrots. Let me go grab the other one. We did 2 trays of carrots, 2 trays of mixed vegetables, and 2 trays of corn. I'm glad I used the wide mouth for the carrots. They are a little more problematic than I expected them to be. It's sticking in this plastic mesh. Hopefully the mixed veggies and corn will be easier to put in the regular mouth jars. So I went to the liquor store and got some vodka and some spiced rum. to try 2 different ways with our plums to make like a schnapps or liqueur type thing. I was undecided whether or not to do, for like red plums, they recommend a vanilla bean and cinnamon, but for yellow plums and their kind of gentler taste profile, they recommend ginger, which I don't have any, but I could probably get some tomorrow after church, and it would be fine to add it a day later. Cardamom, I will still do a vanilla bean because it's vanilla. And cardamom and ginger. They didn't really recommend the cinnamon for the yellow, I think because it's just stronger, although ginger is pretty strong too, so I don't know, we'll see. Oh, I don't think I have any lids over here. I'll have to go grab some lids. But for now, I'll set that there. So this was, I'm trying to remember how, I think it was 10 or 12 ounce bags of carrot. So a little over a pound and a half of carrot, dehydrated down to about a pint. Now for our mixed veggies, the green beans are brittle. That was the biggest thing, so that was what I was hoping would test dried. And it is. So now and this was either 20 or 24 ounces. I don't remember, the carrots and the mixed veggies were 10 and 12 ounces, but I don't remember which one was which. But still, even if it was 10, so 20 ounces, that was 1 1/4 pounds of vegetables, down to less than a pint. Corn. It is sweet and crunchy. That would be a nice salad topper. That was the only way I had it, was in a salad kit. It was like a Southwest something that had corn in it, and it was good, but this is just as good. I thought those were freeze-dried, but maybe they were dehydrated. And if you remember, this was 2 pounds of sweet corn. Whoops. Try to keep it up here. Alright, so 2 pounds of sweet corn, almost filled a quart jar. This will be the base for a lot of good soup mixes that we're going to be making soon. I am going to pause you, get some lids on these, and get ready to make our plum liqueurs. Alright, I am back with our plums. That last segment got cut off, so if I can splice, it'll all be together. If I can't, it won't. I am going to be doing the plums by weight because they are not freestone plums. So I am just cutting away from the pit. I am not going to try to get every little bit off of there, so for that reason I'm going to be doing these by weight. We are looking for 1.5 pounds total. Right now I'm putting 1/2 pound into this jar before we get to where we're adding the other goodies in there. I decided I don't know if I'll film doing both kinds, so I thought I would do the spice one because it's the most interesting. The other will just be plums, sugar, and vodka. I got spiced rum to go with the spiced plum. Let's see. So I'm actually doing this in grams to be more exact. So we are looking for 375 grams. To be at the halfway point. I had some vodka on hand already, but it's vodka that I make tinctures and extracts with, so I don't worry about the quality being as good for drinking. Since we are not drinkers, I actually had to ask them there, like, I didn't want, top shelf stuff, but I wanted, kind of middle of the road. So they gave me some guidance on what to get and kind of what people like. I'm sure people in watching this will either, have strong opinions about what brands of vodka and rum I should have gotten. I'm sure people will either be in the camp of I'm wasting perfectly good vodka or in the camp of I'm wasting perfectly good plums. I'm hoping neither is the case, and this will be tasty for the people we are gifting it to. Almost to that halfway point. This one should do it. Alright, let me give my hands a quick rinse. Okay, it said once I have half the fruit in, then I want to add half the sugar, which for the yellow plums it did say to reduce the sugar by 1/4 cup, and the recipe calls for 1.5 cups. So I'm going to go ahead, and it'll be 1.25 cups total. I'm just going to go ahead and do the 3/4 cup now and the 1/2 cup later. Alright, and then we just repeat with the second layer of plums. Let me zero my scale. And I was looking for 375 and it went to almost 400, so we will just go to 350 on the plums this time. Even when I was reading this, I feel like this is more plums than what is going to be covered by the alcohol that it calls for. So I might have to put in more. I don't know if that means I should put in more sugar, probably. I guess we'll see. I probably could go a little bit less on the plums just because the weight that they call for does account for the pit. It's a whole fruit weight and I'm weighing the finished fruit, so maybe I'll actually go 3 Maybe I'll just do between 3 and 325. Since these aren't freestone, my pits have more weight on them than like a freestone plum would. We do have some other plums out there. I wish I knew how this would turn out, because I would maybe do some of them as well, a little more traditional with the red plums. But these are what we have and what need to get used up desperately. So this is what I'm doing. And it did call for modifications, you know, some of the spices and the sugar to be reduced. Yeah, I don't think the alcohol that this recipe calls for is going to cover these. Okay, I'm going to call that good. So now let me rinse my hands. Very sticky. They are juicy. Alright, so now I'll put in the rest of the sugar. And then it says to go ahead and add our aromatics. I am going to do a vanilla bean. Smells so good. And I'm just going to split this lengthwise to expose that yummy caviar inside. So we will stick that in there. And the cardamom, let's see, how much did it say for the yellow plums? 2 to 3. And it says they should be slightly crushed, and I could not find my mortar and pestle, so let's see if I can, oh, that was easy. Just use the side of my knife. All right. Now, I believe we pour in the rum. It says 2.5 cups, which I do not have a measuring cup. Hold on. It says 2.5 cups. I think it's going to take every bit of this, but we'll see. So this is 2. Oh, maybe it'll work. I'll see after I stir it. And a half. I mean, there's not that much left in there. I could probably just put it all in there and it'd be fine. Maybe let it steep a little bit longer. Let's see. All right, it looks, I mean, that did cover it. You know what, I don't have another use for that spice rum, so I think I'm just gonna dump it in here, and if it's too strong, maybe I can add more sugar, I don't know. But I'm just going to do that because I don't have another use for it. Okay, so it says now we will close with a tight-fitting lid, making sure the fruit is submerged. It is. Store in a cool, dark place, shaking the jar daily for the first week to help dissolve the sugar, and then 2 to 3 times a week for at least 2 months. So, and then strain it and bottle it. And it says you can let it age for a few more weeks at that point or enjoy it right away. So maybe since I added a little extra alcohol, I will let it steep a little bit longer just to let the alcohol infuse more with the fruit. So with this one, I'm going to go ahead and use a regular canning lid. It doesn't say not to, so I'm assuming that's fine. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I'm going to do the next one. The next one is just going to be plums and vodka. I might still put vanilla in it because vanilla and sugar, but it won't have the other spices in there. And it's the same process time-wise. Yeah, I mean, I'll be anxious to, I don't drink, I'll taste it just to see what it's like when it's ready, but I just thought it might make a nice gift for some of the folks in our family that do partake. Anyways, have a great evening. I'm hoping that I was able to splice videos together for you and that all of this made sense and it isn't, because I did some dehydrating. I don't know if you'll see that. Yeah. It just is what it is. Have a good day.